Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and of course, in some parts of the world, good evening. Hey, I just want to do a quick video before I pop outside my door. I want to do a video which is something that I think about often, and I have been lately, especially when we are pursuing our God-given path. We are pursuing our God-given destiny. When we are truly stepping into our, hey girl, I hadn't seen you in a while. When we're truly stepping into our unique God-given path or the destiny, we are going to have a lot of different feelings within ourselves because we're going to have the doubts in our minds that say, okay, step back. No. Don't step into your rightful, like who you're supposed to be. No, go this way, go that way. And a lot of self-doubt creeps in. And a lot of times it's because we listen to outside voices. They're the enemy. Okay, I do call people who are envious or try to, they want to see your downfall. Okay, that's the enemy. To me, if that's you and you're doing that, you're my enemy. And I don't like to have enemies. Thank you. I don't like to have enemies. I don't. But if someone is not looking out for your best interest and they're not wanting to support you and they are not one of those positive voices in your ear or one of those positive views in your eyes, if they're not supporting you, they're an enemy. And I'm like, God, I never thought I would ever have an enemy. But it's okay because enemies can be blessings in disguise. Okay. I always like to see the beauty in everything. I like to see the silver lining. I don't really quite honestly see enemies as enemies. I see enemies as ammunition to just fuel my God-given passion and destiny. So the reason why I want to do this video is I don't want to focus on just me, but I'm focusing it on me right now because I'm just trying to explain my path and what I'm going through. I think a lot of times people listen to outside voices because envy and greed are two very big sins that are awful, okay? Envy and greed. And I think a lot of times people get so envious and greedy that they overlook their blessings or they overlook the wonderful positive things around them. And they really don't become who they're supposed to be because maybe they're envious of someone else, or maybe they're being greedy about something and they overlook the things that God's doing for them in their life. But to get back to really what I'm talking about is I'm talking about don't let other people's judgments affect your God-given destiny. We all have one, okay? We all have a path and we all have a God-given destiny. And a lot of times we go off of the path because we're listening to other people. We're like, well, they're kind of making me feel like I can't do this. Don't listen. They cannot make you feel anyway. Okay, they cannot affect you and your feelings. You can affect you and your feelings. And it's always good to say, hey, God, what do you think about this? If you feel like someone's judging you based on who you are, your real God, true given self, that's the shame. That's the shame that A, they would judge you, and B, it's a shame that, don't listen. Don't listen, and especially don't listen to that. Sometimes it's a voice that's inside of us. It's us, and sometimes it's not always outside people. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's that voice inside of us that's like trying to tell us that we're not good enough. And it's because of, past situations or unsupportive people that we've had in our past. But don't let anyone judge you for being who you're supposed to be and stepping into your divine path, because we're all divine beings. We are. I just happen to be a direct divine descendant. Like direct. But be yourself always. Always be yourself, because that is one thing that I feel very strongly about. I feel strongly about being myself, my true self, because we have to be true to ourselves. Because God is like, if you're not being your true self, that is very hurtful to me, because I have created you to be who you're supposed to be. And that's hurtful. Don't listen to other people. You do you. Okay, you do you. You be who you are supposed to be. So all people out there, be you. Be your unique self. And the only way to know who you are is to go to God and say, God, go to the Creator himself and say, who am I? Like, what, like, is this okay? Like, do you think this is okay if I feel like I'm this? And like, is that okay? And God's like, yes, my child, it's okay. I created you. I put these ideas and these desires in your heart because that's who I created you to be. And if you have a passion for something, I put those there. God's like, I put those there. I put those passions there. So if you're on your path and you're feeling good and you're feeling great and you're happy and being silly and you're feeling good is the most important thing. You're feeling amazing. If you're feeling amazing, hold on to that, like Journey, hold on to that feeling. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling, because that's God intervening in your life and saying, you're feeling really good. You're feeling awesome. I'm here. And hold on to that feeling and do like this. Put blinders on, put those blinders on like a racehorse. Like, that's one thing that I learned to do, especially stepping into my role and into my power and into my title. I'm like, I have to put blinders on, because if I don't put my blinders on, people over here and people over here are going to drag me down and try to tell me that I'm not who I am. A, I'm not who I am. B, I don't have the knowledge, or I'm not experienced enough. So I have to put these blinders on, and I'm like, ear. and when you put your blinders on, especially for me, when I learned to put the blinders on and be that racehorse, be that racehorse. It's like, man, I know where I'm going. I'm going straight forward. I'm not looking this way and I'm not looking that way. And I'm certainly not looking behind in the rear view mirror. I'm not looking in the past. I'm going forward. So when you put those blinders on, your focus is God. Your focus is forward. And when you put those on, you hold on to that intense feeling that you have inside, and you're like, man, I got this. And God's over there like, hey, look straight ahead. I'm right over here. I'm not over there. I'm not over there. I'm not that negative naysayer. I'm not that envious hater over there. I'm your supporter. I'm your fan. God is going to be your number one fan. So for anyone who may be trying to figure out who they are, okay, because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of adults too, dude. It's not just young people. There's a lot of adults out there who still don't know who the hell they are. And you know why? Because they have not yet gone to God and said, God, who am I? Who am I, God? I find my identity in you, not this person being negative and not that person. They're not my creator. You're my creator. Who am I? So if you're struggling with who you are, and you're struggling with your path, and you're like, where am I going? What's going on? Who am I? Go to God and say, God, come on, man. I need your help. God is your creator. And God is never going to judge you, and God is never going to try to drag you down when you are up. Because when you are up and you are feeling at your utmost best, when you are feeling at your utmost best, oh, that's pretty. I like those. When you're feeling at your utmost best, when you're feeling at your utmost best, man, you're gonna know that God is in your heart, and God is in your being and your essence, because God is never gonna drag you down, ever is God ever going to try to make you feel less than. God's like, man, no, man. And I talk like that because you guys can probably figure out, do I look 50 years old? Almost 50? Hell no, dude. Anyway, God's like, look, I love this, man. I'm digging it. God loves it when you are flying high. And I don't mean high like high. I mean high on life. People used to say that all the time to me. They're like, what? I'm like, dude, I'm high. I am loving life. I am living it and loving it. But if you are in that process of trying to figure it all out and you're like, dude, who am I? Dude, I feel like I'm this. And people are trying to drag me down. And the more I'm like holding on to it, the more I've got naysayers trying to like, they're putting me this way and pulling me this way. Don't allow them to pull you this way and that way. You're not a rope. You're not in a tug of war. God doesn't play games. Okay, God does not play games with you. God will not play games. Now, it might be like fun. I don't mean like, you know what I mean? Monopoly. Yeah, we play Monopoly and bingo and all that stuff. But I'm saying God's never going to make you doubt. Okay, God will never make you doubt who you are, and God will never, ever bring you down. So you've got a fan in God. God's like, dude, I'm your fan. I'm your number one fan. I'm over here. I'm cheering you on. So know that you have that in your life. We all have that in our lives. We all have that. Isn't that a good feeling? Like when you know that you're on top of the world, you're on top and you're feeling amazing. Isn't it nice to know that it is because God is like right there, like cheering you on and being like, yay. So if you get to that point where you step into your light, your truth, your light, and you're like, man, I know, okay, I like this, I love this. Isn't it nice to know that you have God as your fan, and you have God going, man, I am happy that you're loving the creation I've made. Like, I am just proud that you've stepped into your truth, because there's so many people out there that will not step into their true selves because they are afraid. They're like, oh God, or maybe they don't know who they are. Like for me, it took me a really long time. I was like, God, I've had visions for a very, very, very long time. And I'm like, God, am I this? Am I that? Am I this? Am I that? God's like, well, you're going to have to figure that one out. I'm going to help you on that one, but you're just going to have to figure it out. And I'm like, okay. All right. So that's how you find your true identity, is in God. You're like, God, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. And God is like, look, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. Don't be ashamed of who you are, anyone. Don't be ashamed of how you feel or who you are, or those dreams and those gifts and those abilities that you have in your heart. Like, God will put those in your heart. And I think sometimes we're afraid of what others are going to think. We're like, well, what's so-and-so? What are they going to think? Do they matter in the equation? No. God matters in the equation. God is like, I'm the only one that matters in this equation. You and I here, okay? You and I are the ones who are the ones that matter here. We are the ones who are getting you down your path, and you're doing you, and you're knowing that you're not judged in my presence. God will never judge you as long as you have God in your heart and God's in your presence. God is never going to judge you. And if you're being silly, God's like, yeah, I love it. God loves silly, goofy, and I mean, laugh, live, laugh, love, and don't be afraid. Like me, man, I get in my car and I dance in my car and sing, and I talk as if nobody's watching, and I'm like, but I seriously, I will dance in the rain. I will do whatever. I don't care, man, because I know God's with me. And it's like, I know God is like doing the same thing. Like, man, we're having a good time over here. We're like having a good time. My video is messing up. It keeps freezing up. But I know God's like, we're having a good time over here. We're having some fun. So laugh and love and dance like nobody's watching you. Have fun and embrace your essence, your beauty, your true beauty and your true essence. Because there's so many opposing energies around me, and I'm like, dude, I know who I am. I know where I come from. I do. And things, my stuff's all messed up. This video's so messed up, it keeps freezing up. But I know who I am. I know who I am, and I know where I come from. And it's like, I'm embracing it. Embrace that. Embrace that, because we all have a beauty and a power within us. We all have a divine light. We are creations of God. God's like, man, you are all my creation. You all have a beautiful light inside of you. Don't dim your light for anyone. If someone doesn't like your light because your light is so bright, and they're like, turn your light off or dim it down. Don't dim it and don't turn it off. Keep shining it. Because when you're in the presence of supportive people, God, angels, people who love you and people who want to see you succeed, they're not going to tell you to turn the light off. They're not going to tell you to dim it. They're going to be like, brighten that thing. Come on, look, we're going to turn ours on, and we're all going to just shine our light so brightly. Don't dim your light for anyone. Be you. Be uniquely you. Be who you're supposed to be. Be who you're supposed to be, because I know that, especially teenage years, going through I don't want to go back to those days. But sometimes we will feel so badly because we're not like everybody else. We're like, what the what? What the what the what? No one is alike. No one. But I think what we need to realize, and I think what teenagers need to realize, is it's okay if you're different. They are too. They may seem like they're all alike, but they're not. They're trying to get their identity through each other. But it's okay if you're over here by yourself and you're seeking your own identity, and you're like, well, I don't want to identify with all this little jumbled up clicky shit over here. Let me identify with me, and let me be unique. And let me go to God and say, God, who am I? Can you help me with my identity? And God will be like, man, yeah, sure. Come on. Don't go with the crowd, dude. Don't go against it. Go against the crowd. Be like, God, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go over here with God. And it might seem like a lonely path, because you might physically be by yourself, but you're not ever alone. Ever. And I think that is one thing that I think teenagers need teenagers need to realize that they're not alone and that it's okay to be you. Be who you feel you want to be. Because if you're passionate about it and you're excited and you feel good about it, if you're like, yeah, I want to be this, that's God saying, yeah, go for it. Do it. You know, wear those funky outfits you want to wear. Do the funky stuff, you know, as long as it's not hurting anybody else. God's like, do it, man. Be funky. Be funky. Be different. But do you, and don't worry about all of these other people. And when I say other people don't matter, I don't mean it in a negative connotation or a negative way. I mean their judgments don't matter. Their judgments don't matter. Because who